Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Crafty Crow Show. As you can see in the background, we're back out and doing another Harlan history video. Today's video on Harlan history is the historic Camp Blanton. Camp Blanton is a place that's near and dear to my heart. It means a lot to me and a lot of people that live up this way. So let's take a look at Harlan's Boy Scout camp and see what all it has to offer, because you can come stay at this camp anytime you want. Let's go.
So let's dive into the history of the camp first. On August 13th of 1933, the original landowners of the 10 acres that was to become Camp Blanton was donated by Grover and Jesse Blanton, a pair of brothers from Wallens. They gave the property to Will Ward Duffield and O.M. Hoskins, trustees of the Harlan County Boy Scouts of America, for the purpose of a Boy Scout camp. In 1934, ownership of the camp was temporarily transferred to the Harlan County Fiscal Court. Now, the reason they've done this, the Fiscal Court is a government entity and made the camp eligible for federal government assistance through President Roosevelt's Emergency Conservation Work Act, part of the President's New Deal. The newly created Civilian Conservation Corps worked to battle the destruction and erosion of natural resources, and this included Camp Blanton, where they constructed a dam, a small lake, and Duffield Lodge, the first cabin named after Will Ward Duffield. From that time on, Camp Blanton served as a Boy Scout camp for the Boy Scouts of America Cumberland Council for many years. On September 7th of 1963, redistricting of the Boy Scout councils in the state led to a transfer of Camp Blanton to the Bluegrass Council, which is still there today. However, in 1988, the relationship ended between the camp and the Bluegrass Council, although several Harlan County Boys and Cub Scout troops still use the camp regularly. On June 30th of 1988, several Harlan Countyans and former Scouts formed a nonprofit corporation, Camp Blanton Trust, for the purpose of maintaining the camp for the use of the youth of Harlan County and surrounding areas. Since the Trust has had it, they've worked hard to keep the camp open, keep it up to date. They've built a couple of new buildings we'll see here in a minute, but they've really done a lot of work to preserve the camp, preserve the integrity of the camp, and make it a place that people can enjoy.
There's the caretaker's cabin. And this is the mess hall. This is at the front of the camp, as you can see. There's the dam and the lake. So, since we're at the front, let's take a walk down the lane. Let's take a look inside this mess hall.
So starting out, you have Ackley Lodge, like you just seen. This is what we call the mess hall. It's probably the most widely rented place at the camp to date, because a lot of people have come up here and enjoyed fish fries. They used to do fish fries every year in this location. But you can see they've renovated the inside, plenty of tables and stuff for large groups. A lot of people do Christmas parties, family reunions and things up here. Pictures there on the wall, and then in the winter, you've got this great seating area with this big old fireplace. And just imagine sitting here like I'm doing, looking up, a fire going, have the man with the little wood owl sitting here staring at you and seeing that beautiful fireplace. Pan around the doorway, there is bathrooms for men and women's. So you have this whole big area. You can dance, you can party, you can have all your friends. You've got serving tables there, is where they usually set up the serving stations. And then back here in the back, you have a full kitchen. Tables, sinks to clean up after yourself. There's some of the heating trays on the left. And then as you pan around, there's bathroom and pantry in the back. And you've got all of the stoves and ovens and everything with an overhead hood that you would need to cook a humongous meal. And then if you happen to be stuck to be the dishwasher, luckily you can go right over here, look right outside, and see the beautiful view of the dam and the lake. And speaking of the dam and the lake, here's the backside view of the retaining wall. There's the start of the trail to go into the back of the camp and one of the 3 creeks that feed the lake here. It's nice and peaceful. Gorgeous view out through there, as you can see. Like I said, I wish the leaves were a little bit more turned. I just missed peak. I was just a little bit too early. But still, no matter what season, it's a gorgeous view. Now we take you out here to the dam. As you've seen in some of those earlier pictures of the construction, this was all hand-laid stone. A lot of people would come out here for prom pictures, graduation pictures, or anything, and have this as their background. It's a wonderful place, and as you can hear, it's got wonderful sounds for waterfalls. So, picking it up, let's start heading on down the trail and head to the back side of the camp. As you leave the mess hall, you cross the little bridge here, and the first thing you come to is a monument built to commemorate the Blantons donating the land for the camp. As you head on down the trail, you'll see there's a whole lot of mountain laurel that lines the trail. It's a more primitive trail. If you go walking down through there, watch your feet. There are a lot of roots and stuff. It's not bad. We used to run up and down this trail at night without flashlights, but we kind of knew where all the big points of the roots were. To the right is where the boat dock is, or the boat landing right now is. There used to be a dock there, and I'll show you that in a second. Kind of straight in front of us across this bridge, there used to be a little nature hut back when it was a Boy Scout camp. I can remember that. That's been tore down now because that thing got in disrepair also. But as you come up to the landing, as you can see here on the left, is one of the first cabins. And back there behind it, if you can see, there's like an awning back in there. That is an archery range. And I didn't make it up there to get it. But this is Harlan Lodge, named after a local man that contributed a lot to the camp. Not much to this one. This was just a stone slab, or a concrete slab, when I was a scout. And they built this lodge up. This is pretty much just a summertime lodge. I didn't really see any heating in here. It's just a good bunkhouse. Mr. Millweed said that a lot of some of the larger groups love this one. They just set up cots. You've got the breeze blowing through the windows and stuff. It's all screened windows. And in the summertime, it sits back here in the trees, so it's a lot cooler. And they just love this place. Now let's explore the boat landing. As you can see here, this was the old boat dock, or the boat house, I guess it would be. And there are the drums that was the foundation for it. This dock suffered a fire a while back. As you can see, there's still marks here on this tree where it got so hot and burnt to the ground, unfortunately. So now all the boats kind of don't have a home. That's why they're just kind of strung out here on the side. And hopefully that's something that can be remedied in the future. A lot of these old canoes and rowboats are left over from when it was a Boy Scout camp. You can see Camp Blanton BSA on that rowboat there to prove it. This is a view from the end of the dock. So I'm going to give you a 360 view of kind of both sides of the camp and just let you listen to how peaceful it is if you want to come out here and sit on the end for just a minute and enjoy nature.
So, back to the back part of the camp, past the boat dock. We've got a cabin coming up called Duffield. Now, I'm going to make you hold on because that is my favorite cabin. I'll give you all the history on that cabin, but I like saving the best for last. That's just how I roll. So, let's go past Duffield. We'll take a look across this little bridge. I'll show you the fire circle, that big beautiful cabin back there, and the back side of the camp. And then we'll come back to my favorite cabin. As you come across the bridge past Duffield. Arnold Lodge would have sat right there. Straight to the right, here's the fire pit. Let's take a stroll out there first. Now this area out here, right off of Duffield, is where two creeks meet. On the left side, over in there is one creek, we'll show you. Then you've got the other creek here on the right. And those are the two of the three feeder creeks that feed the lake here. But this used to have benches, I think they were like railroad cross ties, all out on this end of the field. And we had a big fire pit. And this is where we would come and do, if we were camping as a camp or something, a lot of people, we would do fire circles out here. Skits, I remember we would do skits and things. So for my time, this is where all the like summer camp skits and stuff happened, was right here. We got a nice big massive fire pit. This thing's probably, I don't know if you can tell by the video, 5 foot in diameter or something. It's big. And then you've got this end of the lake. I'll give you a good shot back toward the mess hall. Actually, the trees, you can't hardly see the mess hall from here. That's the caretaker's cabin again, though. Now, over the years, this creek, as you can see, silt has just come out because the lake used to come up right here, and this was all underwater when I was younger. But as you can see, silt flowing out of both these creeks have kind of filled it up. Now, we were talking with Mr. Milwee, and he said it was going to be over $100,000 to dredge the lake. I think the lake's been dredged once or twice since it was built, but due to all the current environmental concerns, you know, the cost exponentially went up. But there's the creek that comes out on that side of the point. And that creek is the one that goes up to Knotty Rock into the Blanton Forest. But here's this end of the fire pit in the creek. Now let's go back up here, check out that cabin, and check out where what used to be called Arnold Lodge sat. This is where Arnold Lodge used to sit. And I'll try to find pictures of it so y'all can see. This is about the general area it was in. It was kind of in disrepair, so they decided instead of fixing it back up, let me go ahead and tear it down. And as you can see, they built a new cabin right back there behind where it used to sit. And this is definitely a very attractive cabin. Let's go take a look at it.
As of the filming, this cabin's not been named yet. They are throwing around a few ideals, but if you got some ideals, leave them down here in the comments and let us know, and we'll try to get it to them to see if that's something they might want to consider. But this cabin is gorgeous. These humongous windows on the front. This fireplace, actually, I didn't get a shot of it. You see the front porch there. There's a fireplace on that front porch, so you can sit outside and enjoy a fire also. This is something like you would see in Gatlinburg. To me, this is an amazing cabin. It's just gorgeous inside. Full kitchen. As you can see, we're inside the living room. I'm trying not to trip over the kitchen table, but the decor and everything it really reminds me of stuff you would see in Gatlinburg. Awesome work on this cabin. It's the newest cabin that they have. That's why it's not named yet. But you got this humongous stone fireplace here. These big windows, you can sit and look out. As you start down the hallway, this is the front bathroom. You got the double sinks for more than one person if they need to use it. Got this nice big open shower that's gorgeous. As you head down the hall, here on the right in the hallway, there's a full washer and dryer. So if you stay more than a week or something, you need to do laundry, it's there available to you. A closet here at the end of the hall. This is the first bedroom on the left. Turn some light on for you. It is new, so there's still a couple things to be hung up. Looks like that big USA map needed hung up, but I think this bedroom and the other one is maybe, don't quote me on it, 12 by 12 bedrooms. So good sized bedrooms to stay in. You've got closets you can see there, and it's in both bedrooms, and this bedroom on the right has its own master bath in it. And you'll see me here in a second. I couldn't find the light switch. I fumbled around with it, as you can see, but pretty much identical to the front one in looks. So coming out of that master bedroom, you can see these beams at the top, and Mr. Milwee told me they imported these beams from California, so I'm guessing, and he was kind of thinking the same thing, the way they look like Douglas fir beams. Head upstairs to the loft, you can see the beams and the timber work and stuff again. And this loft, if you've got kids, because I thought the same thing, this would have been the coolest place to hang out, especially on a vacation. 4 beds up here, big open space, play games or whatever, and you have this view to see down over the rest of the living room and out those windows. But as a kid, I would have loved to have stayed up here when I was younger. As we come out of the back side of that cabin, you have a picnic area that's covered here, so you can have, outdoor eating, outdoor gathering. And there's a grill, and this big open field. We used to play, softball, baseball, or whatever when we were up here on campouts. But it's just a big open field, and it's good and flat, so you can have 2-hand touch tournaments, whatever you go on out here. This is what we usually done with it. Coming from the front side of the cabin, panning over, there used to be the little first aid hut was in here, and the shower stalls, but they were atrocious. Now we have this beautiful brand new shower house. This was a much needed addition up here. The old shower house was, like I said, it was atrocious. Men and women's side, beautiful stonework on this thing. I mean, this thing is just, it looks solid as a rock. Well, that wasn't too funny a joke. Let's take a look on the inside. We'll go into the men's. The women's is pretty much identical, but we'll go into the men's side here and show you inside. Now, there is more light. This camera works kind of iffy sometimes, but all this is natural light coming from a skylight. Hey, there's me. Hey, you have urinals, you have toilets, handicap accessible toilet in the end, and here's your shower stalls, what they look like on the inside. You got a privacy door and a curtain, tile work everywhere. So this is handicap accessible. Like I said, you've got that stall right there. But all the light is just coming from that one skylight. That's not a fluorescent light, that's a skylight. This thing is gorgeous, and really glad that they built this. Pan around right beside the bathhouse, you have the swimming pool. And the swimming pool, of course, is a swimming pool. We've done plenty of activities in the summer here. So give you a look at it. There's not much to say. It's a swimming pool. I don't remember the depth or anything. Maybe 8 foot at the deep end. So coming up next at the very back of the camp is the campfire circle. And this is also about where the trail starts to go into the Blanton Forest. Let's get down here in the bottom, and I'll show you what this looks like down from this fire pit. And from what I understand, I've never been back in here before, but this was the campfire area that when it was a Boy Scout camp, and those of you scouts will know what I'm talking about, this is where the Order of the Arrow took place. It's back here in the middle of the woods, as you can see. We had never found this when we were scouts and camped up here. We'd always heard about it. But this is where all of the Order of the Arrow initiations would happen. Next we have McDowell cabin. Poor old McDowell's had a rough life. This is the second cabin. This is the first McDowell. And in January of 2016, I believe it was, a tree uprooted from the hill there and smashed into the cabin, destroying it, knocking it off its foundations and destroying the roof, as you see in this picture. This is the new cabin, modeled almost identical to the old one though. So you come in the doors just like the old one. This was an open floor plan. You've got bunks in here and beautiful woodwork on the inside, just like the other new cabin. That old wood stove was the original wood stove. This is the cabin we would stay in most of the time when we stayed in the cabins and not in tents in the wintertime because of that stove. This one was heated. This is why our scoutmasters liked this cabin, because it was heated. But now, things we never had in this cabin, we didn't have this kitchen in the back, and we didn't have this bathroom in the back either. One of the most interesting things Mr. Milwee told me about this cabin, the exterior wood, everything on the outside of the cabin is hemlock, and all that hemlock was sawn up right here on the property. So the exterior of the cabin was made with local wood harvested right here on Camp Blanton property. So that made it a little bit more special. You can see a little bit of it there. Still on the same board and batten style though that the original was. So you can come out on this back deck, enjoy the creek right there beside you, and get a view of the back side of the camp.
And that brings us to Duffield. Duffield was the first cabin built here in the camp. I love this cabin. Actually, let me get out of your way so you can see a better shot. It's just what you imagine a cabin would look like. And this cabin was built, again, by hand. Built out of wormy chestnut from logs from the property. So this was cut, built, everything right here on the property, just like a cabin would have been hundreds of years ago. I love this cabin. I can't say enough how much I love this cabin. This is my favorite cabin. And if I ever accomplish my goal of building my own cabin, this is what I have in mind. I think I'm going to model it after this and everything. If I don't change my mind, it's going to be exactly like this cabin. That's how much I love this cabin. So instead of talking it up, let's take you on in, show you the inside of the cabin. It's great. It's great. Now, although it's not in use anymore, that was the first outhouse I ever used in my life. Ooh, outhouses. Let's take a look inside my favorite cabin. Now you guys are going to see this is the most rustic cabin you'll find up here, but that's because this was the original cabin built in 1934. So hopefully the lighting and stuff I can get worked out for you. I love that fireplace. This was, in Scouts, our favorite cabin to be in. I guess because it was rustic. You can see the floors is hand-laid rock. The smell in here is just brings back my childhood. You know, this is pretty much of the big cabins, the only original cabin left. Where McDowell got destroyed, that's the one we stayed in probably the most. But we begged to stay in this one. The downfall of this one is that the only source of heat this cabin has is that fireplace. So I think Neil and Randy, our scoutmasters, wanted to stay a little warmer. McDowell had that big heater in it,
So about the farthest you could get was into this room with beds. And then back here in what would actually be considered the bedroom, I guess, of the cabin, it was just as cold as it was outside. It was horrible. We slept in it because, you know, we were young and we were tough, but it definitely was cold back here. If I ever accomplish my goal of building a cabin, I want it to be pretty closely modeled after this one though. And something that Mr. Milwee told me about this cabin, the entire cabin, and for those of you that know, will know how special this is, every bit of the wood in this entire cabin comes on site here at Camp Blanton, and every bit of it is made out of wormy chestnut. This is the most wormy chestnut I've ever seen in one place in my life. But on-site wood built when they were constructing the camp out of wormy chestnut. But I mean, look at this thing. Wouldn't you love cold winter's night out here, minus the outhouse that's outside. Cold winter's night out here, warm and snug in front of this fire, just enjoying the company of friends and family. This video don't even show this place justice. You all need to come, any of you, and rent this thing to spend the night in it. And you'll smell the smells and everything of my childhood. I absolutely love this place. And another little footnote out on this little field, and I'll turn around and show you the view we had. This is another reason that this spot's special. Sitting in this little field every Sunday, if we'd done a weekend camp out, on Sunday mornings, Neil and Randy would bring us to this spot. So we would have this view with the sun coming through the clouds, early morning mist on the lake. And this is where we would do our Sunday school. We'd read out of the Bible, talk about God, practice reverence as every scout should, and just be a little bit with nature and a little bit with God. So another reason this is special, this is one of my memories of early relationship with God and how much I loved. This was my favorite spot to go to church, because that's what we were doing, was going to church. So this spot with this view will always set in my heart as being a connection with God. And there's our trip through Camp Blanton. It was Bluegrass Council's second camp, I guess, is what you would consider it, until '88, and then it was just a regular scout camp. But I thank you all for coming with us. I thank you for sharing this place. This place just means so much. If I could live anywhere in the world, it would be right here in that cabin. I know, I keep going on about it, but I love that cabin. So, yeah, how do you come up here? You can come up here anytime for a day hike. We'll take you through Blanton Forest some other time, but this is the beginnings of Blanton Forest. You can see in some of the shots, there's a lot of trees here, but they get a lot bigger and a lot more impressive back in there in the actual Blanton Forest. I guarantee if you bring you and your family, you'll get peace and quiet, and you'll enjoy yourselves and you'll have memories to share for the rest of your lives. For all of you interested, I'm going to leave all the information on how to rent any of these cabins. You can rent the entire camp. I'll get you as much info as I can. You know, Mr. Milwee has been gracious enough to let us into these cabins, let us tour the camp to do this video. So as a thank you and as an awareness thing, you know, I love this place so much, I want to promote it to the rest of the world. And I want you all, anybody that comes, please take care of this place, because it means a lot to a lot of people. But I want to do them a favor back and, you know, get the word out there on how to come up here, help fund the camp so they can continue for the upkeep and to keep all these places great and keep it the way we remember it. So stay tuned to the end of the video right here in a second, and I'll give you all the info I can. But I'm really glad you all come with me. The fall colors wouldn't pop it as much as I was hoping, but hopefully that you enjoyed, you know,
season change and seeing kind of how it looked. But thank you for coming and sharing one of my most favorite places in the world. So until next time, love one another as the good Lord tells you. We'll see you guys on the next video.